This is where I'd normally say welcome to SmashPad Live, but it's not actually live this week. We're doing something a little different. Basically, we're just going to record the entire thing over Skype and put it on top of a video of just whatever video games being played week by week. Anyway, I'm Patrick Mifflin.
And I'm Filippo D'Onofrio, and as you can probably tell, I'm sounding a lot better than I was before.
Yeah, you got a hell of a microphone there, man.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to my buddy James for hooking me up with a Blue Yeti. Apparently he was so, disconcerted about how I sounded last week that he opted to send me a...
broke the bank to improve our equipment budget.
Yeah, so I'm quite pleased about that.
And I'm just here on my old Logitech USB headset, so there'll probably be a few discrepancies there, but it's coming along.
Yeah, surprisingly, you don't actually sound too bad. I think you could do with a Yeti at some point as well.
Yeah, a couple months down the road that might be possible, and as we continue to move along with the podcast and continue gathering equipment to make production in general better, as well as all the other wonderful little goodies that we have planned for SmashPad, not just as a media outlet or as a traditional gaming media outlet, but as the sort of online gaming channel that should come along pretty well.
Yeah. It's all a learning experience, as it were.
It really is. I mean, a learning experience and the slow transformation of our workspaces into wire jungles.
Yeah, which will eventually be called studios at some point. But
yeah, hopefully, I don't know, it's a very limited space on my end, but I'm making it work somehow.
Yeah.
The PS3 going into the descrambler, going into the capture card across the room. Yeah, it's definitely one of those, but I'm just glad that it's coming along as well as it is, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah. It's all uphill from here.
Yeah. So, getting started, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I've been playing the podcast production game, basically, learning about microphones, getting them, learning about how to do video editing and audio editing and all that stuff that comes along with it.
Because I suck at it, I freely admit. I mean, I tried so many different pieces of software this past week trying to just get my Ridge Racer videos looking good, and, it's been hit and miss, but... thankfully, you're better off with that sort of stuff than I am, at least for the time being. I'll get some of it figured out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, that, and other than that, I've been playing more Defense Grid 2. That's probably going to be in my list of played games for the foreseeable future.
And it's a staple, I can tell.
Yeah.
Just watching you play it on the podcast here every couple of weeks is... There's a lot to this game, even though it looks dead simple at first glance.
Yeah. And I've also been getting back into Portal 2 for some reason, and just had the inkling to play that game for a little bit, and got sucked in again.
Sometimes the urge just strikes you, and you go with it.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, people watching the visual version of this podcast will be watching me play Ridge Racer 7, and in a rare moment of struggle for me in Ridge Racer, I'm actually adjusting from having played a ton of Ridge Racers 2, and so adjusting to Ridge Racer 7 from that has been not as smooth as I would have liked, but I think the video came out looking good, and At the very least, it'll be entertaining to watch, especially for people who aren't used to Ridge Racer.
What do you think is throwing you off?
Well, it's a completely different set of physics between the PSP Ridge Racers and the 7th generation Ridge Racers.
Right.
The cars, the handling is just a lot looser. And they completely overhauled the drift mechanic to where things that would sustain a drift on the PSP games might not necessarily do it on Ridge Racer 6 or 7.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of things. They tightened up the AI considerably as well. And some of the track design leaves a little bit to be desired, especially Island Circle and Seacrest District, which the latter of which I had a lot less trouble with than I was expecting to for this video. But that Island Circle, it's like they gave a spastic 5-year-old a marker and told him to draw a racetrack, and a lot of those corners just do not translate to the Ridge Racer system, and so you can be you can be drifting just like you're supposed to and still go into the wall and get screwed over pretty bad, and you're going to be seeing that on this video here, probably. I didn't get a really sure guess of it, but I would say probably around the 40 to 50 minute mark.
Okay.
I ended up having to do an entire GP over again, which kind of pissed me off.
Well.
But other than that, I've continued to play Oculus Trip for the review.
Okay.
The more I play it, the more I like it. It still continues to be one of those "what the hell am I playing" games at some points, but it's just a lot of fun, and they're, for someone kind of steeped in otaku culture especially, there are a lot of fun little references and just nods to things, as well as a lot of shameless self-promotion, to be honest, because there's, it's a game made by Acquire, and there are ads of other Acquire games scattered about. But that just, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And then also we'll be talking about some of these sales going on over the holidays, but I bought myself an Android copy of Final Fantasy Dimensions, which is far and away the best Final Fantasy that's been done since at least 9. But it's mobile exclusive. At least hopefully they'll eventually find its way to the consoles. But for right now, it's just Android and iOS. It is a straight up successor to the Super NES years. It is. Its customization system is even a nod to Final Fantasy V, more of an elaboration of it. And any way you can get your hands on this game, I highly recommend it, because it's just that good. And at the moment, it's $7.99, I believe, on both the App Store and Google Play.
Yeah. You got a nice Android phone now, so you can be playing Final Fantasy Dimensions on at work when you're not doing
break room. Yeah. I already have, to be honest with you. Just go on my lunch, grab some chips and a soda, head to the back, and just play Final Fantasy Dimensions, which I used to do on my iPad as well. I was not hindered by the fact that I was on a tablet. If anything, I enjoyed that. But now I don't have to drag the tablet out on my lunch break just to throw some of this down. That's going to breathe new life into quite a few mobile games for me. I can see also going through the Chaos Rings games again at some point, just because of that.
Yeah. Well, the Note 3 is like a 5.7-inch screen, so that's Vita territory here.
It really is. I think it's a little larger than the Vita. I don't have mine out right now to hold up to it, but I would be very surprised if it was if it wasn't a little larger. To be completely honest, I just wish they'd hurry up and get Ridge Racer Slipstream certified for it, because I'd be playing the hell out of that too.
Yeah.
it's good at what it does for right now. Couple of random downloads I've also picked up for it, like Rhythm of Fighters, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a KOF rhythm game, but it passes the time if I've only got like 5 or 10 minutes to burn.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Sounds strange, but
yeah, they made it work.
Well, I mean, if Kickbeat can work, I don't see why Rhythm of Fighters wouldn't.
Yeah, and not just that, but SNK, they did recently get back into the shoot 'em up genre with KOF Sky Stage, and so they're doing all these really cool little things with the franchise that you wouldn't think they'd do, and it's working. So
yeah, let's hope we'll see KOF 14 at some point soon, though.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't mind. I think KOF 13 has plenty of legs. They could probably squeeze another couple years out of it at least, but I'm very interested in seeing what's next from them because they're in a pretty good place right now.
Yeah, which is weird because, a couple of years ago we were thinking SNK might be on its way out, and they managed to turn themselves around pretty nicely.
Playmore has been great for them.
Yeah.
They really have. After all the crap they went through with that pachinko company, I can't even remember the name of, and we didn't even think that the Nests arc was going to be finished in KOF, let alone have a third arc after that. It's been a great turnaround story for them, and I'm really glad to see it. That SNK is one of those companies that you just really want to be active.
Yeah.
And they usually are. I mean, that's one thing I am kind of surprised is that they've gotten such mileage out of KOF 13 when years ago they were churning out a KOF game every year.
Yeah.
And it seems like they realize they've got a good thing when they've got it.
Yeah.
So I want to see what's next, but at the same time, I would totally be okay with another couple years of KOF 13.
Yeah.
But yeah. So moving on from that, over the next couple weeks, no show next week unless something absolutely earth-shattering happens. So we're basically just going to have some rare, uninterrupted gaming time. What are your plans?
Well, plan to actually maybe get into Master Chief Collections. I haven't had a chance to pick that one up yet. Let's see, what else do I plan on doing? Oh yeah, I really want to settle down and get into Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. You've been after me for quite a while for that one, and I'm going to sit down and actually do it.
Yeah, it's with the Game of the Year coming up and everything, this is the game I've been evangelizing to not just Phil, but to the entire staff, that sit down, play this game, really absorb it, and, it'll grow on you.
Yeah.
It really is one of the best games of 2014.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. And between those two, I should definitely have my hands full over the holidays. So.
Oh, yeah. As for me, I need to buckle down on Trails in the Sky myself. Get my 100% completion on both versions, actually, the PSP and the PC version, before SC comes out, presumably in January. It might slip to February. But yeah, I got to get the 100% completion because I really want that experience bonus in the second game.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I'm going to just sit down and kind of go through some of the other top games of the year. I'm looking forward to really getting a chance to spend some time on Bayonetta 2, which I finally got a copy of. One that is kind of uncharacteristic for me, but I'm really curious about just for a really simple reason, too, is Grand Theft Auto 5 for next gen. The first person, I think, could really put this game over the top. It's already super massive. You give it that immersive feel of first person, and I think it's a really simple change that could completely revolutionize the series.
Yeah.
And so, as soon as I can get my hands on that game, I'm planning on doing that and seeing if it really makes a difference. And keep in mind, I haven't actually played Grand Theft Auto since Vice City.
Yeah, I've been dabbling in GTA, here and there, and I can kind of see the appeal, but it's never really grabbed me, and I cannot figure out why. Maybe the first person will help out, but we'll see.
Yeah. And it's weird in my case. I'm the same way, by the way. It's really weird in my case, though, because I do have very much of a taste for the kind of satire that Rockstar brings to the table every time. And so it's kind of surprising to me that I never really latched onto it. But, this is definitely a chance for kind of a fresh start with the series, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. So it looks like you've got your your plate full as well.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. So, bit of serious news now. One thing that kind of slipped through the cracks of the news cycle when we were putting the show together last week was the passing of Ralph Baer, who was very much the father of video games. He was 92, and it's kind of hard to understate the significance of it.
Yeah, he. For those who don't know, his first commercial project was the Magnavox Odyssey. It originally started out as a brown box and then got licensed over to Magnavox. That came out in I believe the early or mid '70s, and it was basically the first video game console that you could purchase. A little bit badly marketed, though, because a lot of people thought that you could only play it on a Magnavox TV, which wasn't actually the case.
It was one of those early industry confusion things. I still remember we actually had one of those when I was very, very young. And back in the time when my mom was putting me in standing me up in shopping carts and wheeling me up to arcade machines so I could play Pac-Man, we also had one of these sitting at home, and it took right away. I mean, eventually it broke down on us, and, not knowing what we had, ended up just putting the broken system in the garbage, which I regret to this day, but had a lot of fun with that, with my family, and just growing up with that. And then from there, my second birthday, I still remember getting an Atari 2600 after that, and that just continued the momentum until, today.
Yeah. For me, I never actually played the Odyssey. It was before my time and before anybody in the family actually got into gaming. But I was very familiar with Baer's other work, which was Simon. I played the hell out of that thing.
I didn't know that was him, honestly.
Yeah, that was him.
I had one of those for sure.
Yeah.
Remember cousins coming over and just playing the hell out of it.
Simple, follow the colors, but in some ways it was the progenitor of all the rhythm games that we've known today.
It's true. Just a simple memory game that, with the right twist, it becomes something else entirely. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you can't really understate, because I personally, without Ralph Baer's contribution to us, to the world, to life, really, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know what I'd be doing with my time, with my life right now. But I don't know. I mean, games kept me out of a hell of a lot of trouble when I was younger, and and he's the guy who got it started.
Yep.
And so, we definitely have to, give our shouts out to him and, thank him, because, once again, I don't know where I'd be, and the world in general would be a much worse place without video games.
Yeah. Yeah, despite what some politicians and others may say.
Back at PlayStation Experience, they, as we covered last week, Suikoden 2 made its debut digitally as a PlayStation 1 classic, but upon further inspection, it may not have quite been the release that people were expecting. It was posted up with support for PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita with no mention of a PSP support, and that's kind of unprecedented for PS1 Classic. I think this might even be the first game to, or at least the first game in quite some time not to have that support. So, what do you make of it?
Well, I'm figuring Sony's going to have to draw a line in the sand on the PSP at some point. I mean, it's already a, close to a 10-year-old system.
10 in Japan.
10 in Japan, yeah. So, to keep the PSP classics working, it means they have to continually update the PSP firmware to stay in line with the changes they make to the PlayStation Store. And I'm not sure they want to keep on devoting the resources to do that. I think it's probably that simple in my view.
The only peculiar thing was that it was a game just the prior week that had the PSP support, so that's kind of that's one of the things that's raising eyebrows, is that maybe this is kind of the same kind of tactic with Suikoden 2 that Nintendo played last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, with Earthbound on the Wii U, which never showed up on the Wii Shop channel, but it's right there on the Wii U, to try and turn it into a system seller, potentially.
Yeah. I don't know that Suikoden 2 would probably be that kind of a system seller. I mean, a lot of people like Earthbound, so I could definitely see people opting for a Wii U to play that game again, considering how expensive these SNES cards have gotten.
Yeah. Suikoden 2 is kind of in the same boat there. eBay prices are kind of ridiculous. I haven't checked them lately, but it has gone, and it has dipped well into the three figures territory on several occasions. And it does have that. I mean, there's an entire movement on social media that was pushing to get this game re-released. And so, I'm not sure how many of those people might already have had PlayStation Vitas, but that does seem to be what they were really angling at, if this is what it is and it's just not something that needs to be patched in later.
Yeah. Well, I'd imagine that most people who have PSPs have probably also upgraded to Vitas. I don't know very many people who have stuck with the Sony platform that haven't jumped as well.
That's a good point. The other question is what this might mean for classics, because with the PS4 having PlayStation Now, classics don't carry over to that. There's no mention of bringing classics over properly like they did with the PS3. So is this kind of... Or you think they might be living and dying by the Vita?
I don't think so. I think classics will show up on the PS4 at some point. Not sure how, but they do have some talented people over there. I mean, I think Jay Linden still works over there. So we'll see how that goes.
So hopefully we'll see it.
Yeah. For those who don't remember, I believe it was Jay Linden. Anyway, he was the guy who wrote Bleem. And then,
there you go.
And then got sued. So, if he's still over there, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to put something together for the PS4.
Well, that's good. I really loathe the idea of PlayStation Now as in its current form, being the exclusive way to get old school content on the PS4, because I'm just a big sense of ownership guy, and the transition from physical to digital has been in itself kind of difficult, kind of.
You kind of have to shift the way that you think about it.
Yeah,
and that's for a lot of people. It's kind of hard to do.
And then this just seems like another step in the wrong direction of just not even owning the digital content, just not being able to turn on your system and having it be there, having to pay up every time you want to play. And so hopefully they have some kind of contingency plan or some way of kind of adding the support for the digital, the downloaded classics for the PS4 at some point or another, because, and especially now, a lot of us have dunked a lot of money into that.
Yeah. I don't believe that PlayStation Now is going to be how you get these games going forward, because PlayStation Now launched, and I think it launched with kind of a thud. I don't think Sony has been very optimistic about that since the launch, and it seems to me like they haven't really talked about it too much since then.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that they didn't think it through. I mean, you look at the prices, you look at the selection, and I mean, you can buy a lot of these games, sometimes new, even for less than the cost of
a 30-day rental.
Yeah. And so maybe it's just that it's still in beta. Maybe prices are going to come down they're going to have to if they're going to keep PlayStation Now relevant. But comparing it to what was discussed at the PlayStation 4 unveiling last February,
it's really not there yet.
It's not what they described. I mean, it's not what we signed up for at all.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously willing to accept a streaming service as the delivery method of classics, but only if you're purchasing licenses and not just renting them.
Yeah. Which is what you could do with OnLive.
Yeah. Ironically.
Yeah. So go figure.
So I think that's kind of set the bar, and PlayStation Now isn't meeting it.
No.
So hopefully there's a future for classics on the PS4, because with the PlayStation back catalog, that's probably, this isn't going to go without, this is going to go uncontested. But I do think that the PlayStation back catalog is the best back catalog among the big three, and a lot of it has made its way to the PS3 and the Sony handhelds in the classic forms, and it would be a shame if they didn't keep that rolling, because, I mean, literally some of the best games of all time are on there.
Yeah. And I mean, they just made a big deal about the 20th anniversary PS4, which nobody can get anymore.
Yeah, that whole thing kind of fell on its face, too, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, eBay scalpers kind of killed that for everybody, but that's usually how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, the better idea would have just been if they'd taken the limited edition thing out of the picture and released it as a holiday bundle.
Yeah. Well, it may still happen. I mean, the Japanese launch of the PS4 was, it was, what was it, December 3rd, 1994? But we didn't actually see it until a few months later, so...
Yeah, well, several months later. Actually, it was September 9th, 1995.
Yeah.
So maybe next year.
Maybe we'll see something.
We can only hope.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta know people want it now, so...
Yeah.
I think the response has been good enough that Sony could conceivably just make a couple of runs of that and let people at them.
Yeah. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a PlayStation 4, but, if the planets aligned and I actually had the liquid capital around that time, I could see myself taking the plunge on something like that.
Oh, ditto.
So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But shifting gears from talking about the PlayStation's back catalog to one of the big contributors to said back catalog, Square-Enix again. Yosuke Matsuda, we've been talking about him on the show quite a bit lately. He's starting to really put his signature on the company, and we've just been getting announcement after announcement after announcement that shows no real signs of letting up. There's been a couple of Saga games, one for the PlayStation Vita that doesn't really have an official name yet. They're just calling it Saga 2015 for the time being. And then there's another game called Imperial Saga, which is actually going to the PC, making the franchise debut there. And on top of that, we've gotten just a litany of mobile Final Fantasy titles that all seem pretty exciting. I mean, they're all very old school. They're all very traditional Final Fantasy. Dimensions that we were talking about earlier in the show is getting a sequel. There's something called Final Fantasy Brave Exvius coming that seems to be a massive crossover of all the games, but in more of a traditional form than, say, your Dissidia. It's just a really exciting time to be a fan of JRPGs, and Square-Enix is putting itself front and center to support this.
Yeah, I'm glad to see it, because they've been floundering for the past few years and losing money left and right. So I think going back to what brought them was probably a good move.
Yeah, and that's been Matsuda's whole thing, is he seemed kind of displeased that Square-Enix missed out on all that Bravely Default money in North America, because they didn't believe that Western audiences wanted the game. Nintendo picks it up and sells 200,000 like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And suddenly you've got, the new Square-Enix president steps in and realizes that there's money everywhere in traditional JRPGs.
Yeah.
And it's just,
it's not 2 million copies money, but, 200,000 units isn't nothing to sneeze at.
On a 3DS, it's very indicative of what they could do on other platforms, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say a good traditional JRPG on a 3DS doing 200,000, you got to start thinking, what could that pull on a PS4?
Yeah.
What could that pull on a Wii U,
Yeah. We won't see it with Final Fantasy 15, because that's going to be kind of a mushy middle product there. But
yeah, that's Final Fantasy 15, Kingdom Hearts 3 were kind of put into the works before Matsuda took over the company. Final Fantasy 16 is the one I want to see. That's the one where I strongly believe that the company's coming home.
Yeah.
And we've got all these mobile titles coming along that I think are kind of priming the series for the return to that.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in seeing how the next few months go. The way that, just the pace at which they've been announcing games, and Matsuda said that there's still a brand new console RPG that is not a remake of anything. We haven't heard what that is yet.
No.
I mean, that one's still out there, and they're still dropping announcements left and right. And so I'm wondering if this is all leading up to maybe a Chrono revival, or, who knows?
That.
Well, it's long overdue.
Yeah.
I mean, there were only 5 years between Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, so food for thought there.
Yeah.
And now it's been almost 15 years since Chrono Cross.
Yeah.
Again, just putting that out there. So they've got the licenses they've been sitting on for years and years, and maybe with Matsuda at the helm, they're going to finally say, yeah, let's do this. Let's make this happen. We're returning to a point where JRPGs are really like the traditional ones, the ones that built the genre. That's where to be now.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how they're, at the same time, they're being super aggressive on the mobile side of things to maybe see what new fans they can kind of kind of foster in on that side. You know, and they've actually got their own holiday sale going on right now, where I don't have it open right now because I might do things, but a lot of Dragon Quest games for sale on iOS, on Android. Final Fantasy Dimensions, I'm not sure if the sale's still going on iOS. On Android, it's still going for $8. Get it. I paid $30 for the iOS version. It is a full Final Fantasy game worth that kind of money.
Yeah.
Getting it for $8 is a steal. I mean, just if you have a way of playing games on iOS or Android, you owe it to yourself to get Final Fantasy Dimensions.
Yeah.
And experience that, because it's Final Fantasy the way it should be.
It's kind of strange. I mean, it used to be that mobiles weren't really considered, viable gaming platforms, but over the few years since the iPhone came out, it's kind of changed that. The thing I still have a problem with is companies trying to force console games onto touchscreens where it just doesn't work. But games like JRPGs just work fine with touchscreens.
Beautifully.
Yeah.
I mean, JRPGs and mobile were pretty much destined to come together sooner rather than later. And everything I've played on mobile for JRPGs has been fantastic. I forgot what I was going to say to that, but I mean, apart from your heavy hitters, I mean, Square-Enix has been supportive of mobile from the beginning. You've also got kind of your standbys from years gone by, like Hemco, are still very much active on the mobile side of things with games that you wouldn't have been surprised to see them make on the Super NES back in 1993.
Yeah.
And, once you start looking and seeing what is out there, mobile is poised to be probably one of the best JRPG platforms ever. And it's weird to say that. I think one of the big problems that it faced early on was the standardization issue, but now that we've got iOS and Android, and everyone's kind of converging on that point, you don't have all these individual phones that are all doing their own OS and generally making a mess of the entire landscape as far as standardizing it for games.
Yeah, the OSs have definitely helped a lot in there. They've also made it easier for developers to make sure that their games are going to run properly on whatever device they choose to. So,
But that being said, I mean, on the mobile side, if I'm Microsoft, I'm standing there scratching my head wondering what the hell went wrong. Because
Windows Phone didn't work so well, did it?
Yeah, in Windows Phone 8 seemed like it was going to just jump right into that, and it really didn't.
Yeah. Well, it didn't over here anyway, but elsewhere in the world, it's getting a foothold.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I'd like to see developers get stretched thin again, but I think there's definitely room for a third mobile OS out there, and who better to provide it than Microsoft?
Yeah.
So once again, it's still the holidays, and the sales are still running rampant. We just talked about what Square-Enix is doing on the mobile platforms. Steam is plugging along. The PlayStation sales going on.
Did you see anything on Steam or PSN that's worth noting?
I did drop $20 on Steam on the first day.
Okay.
I bought Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. I'm just going over my list. I grabbed Hate Plus because visual novels.
Yeah.
I kind of like them.
Yeah.
You have to be in a certain mood to kind of fully appreciate them, but I am a fan of the genre.
Yeah.
Which probably sounds really weird coming from me. Oh yeah, I bought the 2 poker nights.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah,
the second one a bit more so, but they're definitely entertaining.
But yeah, that was the 2 poker nights, Sonic Adventure 2 plus Battle, Hate plus. There was one more thing. My God, I cannot remember for the life of me what it was. While I'm racking my brain trying to figure that out, did you pick anything up?
Not as of yet, but I've been stocking my wish list.
Yeah, I've learned to do that too.
Yeah, I did manage to get Riptide GP2 from the pre-sale auction, so that was kind of good.
Right?
Yeah. So
Riptide GP2. Not enough people know about that one.
Yeah. Yeah. If you like Hydro Thunder, you should probably play this game because it's the same.
Yeah. People. It feels very much like Hydro Thunder, looks kind of Wave Race-ish, or more like Splashdown, I would say.
Yeah.
Soul Reaver. I already had Soul Reaver.
Soul Reaver, man.
This is Steam sale problems when you've been at it long enough. You look at your list and you see a mishmash of things that you don't remember when you got.
Yeah.
And like some of these games I don't even remember buying. Was I issued these? Was I drunk one night?
All of the above, maybe.
I just think I'm not going to figure it out. There was the 6th game. I know that much.
Mm-hmm. But there's definitely been some ridiculous pricing on the Steam sale, like that Flight Simulator 10 for $5.
I almost jumped on that.
A week after it releases, I was like, okay.
Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, or anyone who doesn't have it yet, it's $14.
Yeah.
It might go daily, but even if it doesn't, that's a steal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping to pick up East South of Falgara. That's soon, so to complete my East collection.
Yeah, I really wish they'd keep putting them out there for Windows, because apparently it's been a big hit for Xseed and for Falcom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably mostly technical issues that are keeping them from opening the floodgates on those. So, but they've been plugging away at it at least.
I can confirm Xseed does have a very good programmer on the payroll these days. Apparently someone who could teach Falcom a few things about porting stuff to PC. Right here, and that's why they were able to port The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. That's not a remake or a modernization. It is the original game that Xseed had one programmer sit down and just port by hand to modern computers, which was a big reason that it was held up so long.
Yeah. And they've been continually updating that game.
Yeah.
I keep seeing patches show up in my Steam updates folder.
They're trying to make it real pretty and just make... I think they said their main goal is to make it look like the PS3 version. PS3 version is kind of an interesting story altogether. In Japan, they have something called PSP Engine, where you can pretty much take the code of a PSP game, rescan whatever assets you want to put in at a higher definition or higher detail, and it would do all that work of porting the game for them. The reason we didn't get it over here is because it doesn't support the trophies.
Ooh.
And so that's a big no-no with Sony Computer Entertainment America.
Yeah.
But I actually have Trails in the Sky FC and SC on my Japanese account, and it looks gorgeous on PSP Engine.
Well, if they can manage to get the PC version to look like that, that'll be
yeah.
Really nice.
I should actually stream some of the PS3 version, or just stick some of it on my YouTube channel, just to show people the difference. Because the crazy part of it is the PSP code running.
Yeah, PSP code with just higher resolution assets.
Yeah, it's just Yeah, they dumped the new assets in, and it's running PSP code at 1080p.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the PC will have too much trouble handling that. So
yeah,
it's
just a question of getting all the assets patched in, but yeah, there's a very noticeable difference.
Yeah.
So
I look forward to digging into it. That's like as I said at the top of the show. That's gonna be one of the games I dig into over the holidays.
Yeah. I can't even tell you. I mean, I first discovered this game back in 2012 when the PlayStation Vita launched, and I just went crazy. I got the 32 gig memory card, and I went to this craze of buy all the JRPGs. And no, I really did. Like, there might be 2 or 3 of them on the entire PlayStation Store for Vita that I don't have now. I went mad, and so I just love the idea of having all of these games with me on the go, and so it just so happened that one day I was in the break room at work, sitting down, and Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. It looked great from the trailers and everything. I'll open it up, and 4 playthroughs later.
Yep.
So, did I hear a Skype sound on your end, or?
No, we're good.
Okay. Kind of paranoid about that now.
Yeah, no, I can see it's still recording. We're all good.
That's good. So, moving on to the PlayStation side of things, we're in week 3 of 4 of the holiday sale there. Terraria. There's a PS4, PS Vita bundle for $6. I actually jumped on that.
Yeah.
And the PS3 game and the Vita game by itself are $4.50 each.
Yeah.
Looking at the list here, Flower is $3.49 for those interested.
Yeah, I picked that up a while back. Pretty chill game to play on the PS4.
It is. Need for Speed Rivals Complete Edition. I bitch about that game a lot on the stream, but it's still fun in its own way. $30 for the game and all the DLC is a pretty good deal. So if anyone's curious about that, now's probably a really good time to jump on it.
Yeah.
Child of Light, $7.50. I'm kind of kicking myself for having bought the game just a few weeks ago. When the hell did I get Hotline Miami? Oh yeah, I was issued it on PlayStation.
Yeah, that's a PlayStation Plus game. Yeah.
It said purchased. I'm like, I do not have any recollection of this.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus does really strange things to your brain.
Yeah.
No, kind of speaking of that, there's I saw an article recently saying that somebody totaled up the value of the games that were issued via PlayStation Plus over 2013.
Ridiculous.
It was like $1,300 games.
Yeah.
You know.
$50 to get in.
Yeah.
If anyone's still on the fence about PlayStation Plus, that should settle it for them, because that is a ridiculous savings. And you don't even need to own all the systems at the time to benefit from them. You just have to have your account.
Yeah, just add them all to your cart, checkout, and they'll stay on your account.
I think you might not be buying a PlayStation 4 for a couple years yet. Still pile up the games, because they're going to be there for you. They're going to be right there credited to your account as long as you keep it current and stay vigilant in registering those games to your account as they phase in.
Yeah, and one thing I found out, if your PS Plus account does lapse, while you do lose access to them, they're still on your account. So if whenever you renew, you just get them back.
That would suck.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have already run afoul of that myself a couple of times if that were the case, and I would probably be
very irritated.
A much angrier person than I am today.
Yeah.
40% off Pure Solar. I cannot math at the moment, so I don't. And I've already purchased it, so it's not going to tell me exactly what that comes out to, but that's a good deal. I was playing that on the stream a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition half off.
Yeah. I probably still wouldn't pick that game up, but no, I'm just not a fan, so.
I haven't played it yet. I believe I was issued it for the PS3 through PlayStation Plus, but I haven't actually sat down and tried doing anything with it yet.
Yeah. So it's not like, fringe titles or crappy games, they're
it's not even a small amount of them, it's a bunch of games.
Yeah, they're putting some good stuff up there.
Let's see, Slender the Arrival, $5.99. Yeah, it's a loaded sale.
Yeah. If you got a PS4, PS3, or PS Vita, definitely hit the PlayStation Store and have a browse around, because pretty sure you're going to find something that you want to play in there.
I can't wait to see what the big finale of it's going to be next week.
Yeah.
Well, now it's just 2 days away.
Yeah, that's true.
I've still got some money banked in my account, so if they do anything, really good, I'll be able to jump on it. It's been a pretty strong sale so far. I'm still kind of kicking myself for missing out on RBI Baseball 14 on week 1. I probably should have grabbed that, but all told, I think I've made pretty good. So, moving on, Shigeru Miyamoto confirming that Nintendo is actively working on their next-gen hardware.
Yeah. He apparently can't stop talking.
I like this, honestly. I'm not sure whether this is really news at the same time. I mean, we've known about the QOL platform for quite a while already. And
this is not that.
This is not QOL.
No.
Okay, so that changes a few things.
Yeah.
By the same token, I was just gonna say this probably by itself. I'm not sure how newsy you can call it, because you can always take for granted that that a company will start R&D on their next platform as soon as one launches.
Yeah.
The PS5, rest assured, exists in some form right now.
Yeah.
We might not see it for 7, 8, 9 years, but it exists. It's on the drawing board. They're mapping out the specs, and when the time comes, they'll lock everything down and tell the developers to get to work. But all that stuff is a lot further back in the making, and so.
I think I think the newsworthy part of this is that they're actually talking about it now, rather than keeping it mum until they've got more details to share.
That's true. It almost makes you wonder. We were talking about this last week, but this is another angle you can take it from. Star Fox and Zelda both next year.
Yeah.
Are they trying to save the Wii U? Or are they trying to shuffle it out the door?
Well, yeah, I think they're trying to save it. I mean, even if they're working on a console right now, we're not going to see it before 2017, 2018.
That's true.
So they've really got to commit to the Wii U while they, at the same time, still put their team together and get that new hardware platform nailed down.
They really don't want to Sega themselves by kind of bailing out on the Wii U right as people start buying into it, and then so hopefully that's how you're saying, but it just was a thought that crossed my mind when I heard that news, that both on the QOL and on this, to be honest, just seemed a little bit suspect is all.
Yeah. I'm hoping that at least for this next iteration that they've taken the lessons that they've learned from the Wii U and actually applied them. Because, there are definitely some lessons to be learned from what they did with the Wii U.
Don't call it a fucking Wii.
Yeah, that's one thing they could do.
That's the main bullet point I would be trying to emphasize, but...
Call it maybe the NES 3 or whatever you want to call it. Just don't call it a Wii. I
maintain they should have brought back the NES branding for this system because it's worthy of it.
Yeah.
It's a great system. It really goes back to kind of the old school Nintendo. Just kind of the same kind of philosophy that Mark Cerny, which I also bring up a lot on the show. But I think it bears discussing, and I think that's what Nintendo's always been about.
Yeah. The interesting part of this is, if you think about it, the Wii U is technically not as powerful as either the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4. But if they're working on another system now, they could end up with a system that's far more powerful than either of those, and be able to beat them to next gen.
That's true, or they could... I don't know, there are a few ways this could go. Ever since the Wii, Nintendo has seemed to be about saving money on the hardware. Well, for the Wii U, it was kind of a matter of necessity because the controller jacking up the cost.
Yeah. I don't believe that we see either a touchscreen on the next console or backwards compatibility with Wii U, to be honest.
It would be a very particular way of going about things if they did.
Yeah. I mean, it would basically be them having to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, we're the Wii
wiping
U,
the slate clean.
Yeah, we're wiping the slate clean. We're going to go, full NES. We're going to put powerful hardware in this thing. We're going to make it so that you developers will actually, want to develop for it instead of, kind of being cajoled to.
Yeah. Money hat.
Yeah.
Which Nintendo's never really been about, and it kind of shows in their third-party support.
Yeah, or lack thereof.
Yeah, and that's only going to get worse for them as it seems like Sony and Microsoft are more than willing to throw money around at this point to gobble up exclusives.
Yeah.
And that whole thing is going to escalate to a level we've never seen before, just based on the early running.
Yeah, I mean...
And so, if Nintendo wasn't willing to pay up before... I can only imagine how they're going to be answering some of these asking prices moving forward.
Yeah, I think they're going to get as much life as they can with the Wii U. They're going to milk Amiibo as much as they can, which I think that's actually a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, and that's something you can take for granted is going to work with the next system.
Yeah, I don't see why
that's
wouldn't.
Going to carry over.
Yeah. Just, I think they've kind of defined what the Wii U audience is at this point, and if they want to broaden that, or I think the important part is getting their old audience back. Yeah. They have to make some changes.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even really keep the audience they built with the Wii.
Yeah.
That was kind of a one and done thing, and that's what they didn't see coming.
Yeah. It's like most people who own a Wii think that the Wii U is just that controller, the gamepad, and it was bad marketing on their part.
Then they find out that it's not, and they get very butthurt about it.
Yeah,
$300.
Making the system look pretty much exactly like the Wii didn't help either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, industrial design by Xerox?
More or less. But I guess Miyamoto talking about this now just means they do want the attention. It seems to me like you don't just drop something like that and then walk away from it for 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to take this as a good sign, saying, okay, we acknowledge that we made some mistakes. We're going to work on it, and don't write us off just yet.
Yeah, and hopefully you're right, and they're not ready to just write off the Wii U, because I like the Wii U. I really do. I think it's a fantastic console that has just been sold badly.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, because a lot of these games deserve a lot more attention than their installed base is giving them. And, after Star Fox and Zelda, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It would be a shame if they just kind of left it at that.
Yeah. I kind of doubt that'll happen, but, anything is possible at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I never would have.
This is Nintendo. They're not afraid to do crazy things if they feel it's justified.
Yeah, definitely. I could see them very easily coming in with in 2017, coming in with a more powerful platform for $199. Just going completely stupid that way.
We're just going to completely eat it on hardware and gobble up the sales.
Yeah.
Which is, can't say that wouldn't get them right back in the game.
Yeah, I definitely would do that.
And their attach rates would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
If they did that.
Yeah. You would have to launch it with, you'd have to have a good Mario game.
You'd have to have all hands on deck.
Yeah.
You'd have to have Mario and Zelda and Metroid and Star Fox and, just everything.
Yeah.
And then just build toward a pipeline to be announced at E3 the next year. I think they could do it. They've got the teams. But do I think it'll happen? That's probably another matter entirely, but it's fun to think about this stuff, these what-ifs. I mean, especially during the lull months between the holidays and E3, you might see us go into this well quite a bit, just because it keeps us entertained.
Yeah.
But,
rampant speculation never hurt anybody.
It's true. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much all we've got to say on Nintendo, I think. We do want to talk a little bit about Game of the Year. It's happening.
Yes.
We've got those articles going up this week, at least starting to go up this week, and those continue up until the end of the year.
Starting Tuesday, from what I looked at the schedule last.
Yeah, looks like Tuesday, the 23rd, up until the 1st of January, we're going to have content on the site. So be sure to check that out, smashpad.com. What else have we got going on? As you mentioned, Pat, no show next week, because there's probably going to be nothing to talk about, and we both want to play some games.
Watch, Nintendo's going to announce their system, and we're going to have to come back here next week.
Yeah.
But we're not expecting anything earth-shattering to happen between now and New Year's, so taking a week off to just kind of decompress and really soak up the games that have been coming out over the holidays. It's really been one of the best holiday seasons I remember.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people might disagree with me on that, but I've been blown away by both the announcements and the games that have actually come out over this span.
Yeah. Apart from the 3 busted games that came out at launch.
That's got to stop.
Yeah, let's not have that next year. Let's see if we can fix that.
It's been a solid 2014 for games, and I keep telling people this is the most fun I've had being a gamer in a lot of years, like probably going back to 2001, 2002.
Yeah. Because we've actually had games that have interested us. It's not just the big AAA stuff that, may or may not hit what we're looking for. We've got all kinds of indie stuff that have come out. JRPGs are making a resurgence. And it's been a lot of good stuff, and I'm looking forward and hoping that this is a trend that continues in 2015.
Yeah, 2015 is going to be ridiculous if it looks like it's looking right. If it shapes up like it's looking right now.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away by the possibilities of it. I mean, just looking at Square-Enix's pipeline alone, and then you've got all the stuff Exceed's doing. You've got Trails in the Sky second chapter. Brandish is coming to PC.
Yeah.
Just game after game.
Yeah. And we've also got a new East game to look forward to. It might not be 2015, but it's
might not be 2015 over here. I think it'll make Japan 2015.
Yeah.
So that's another Falcom title as well.
Yeah.
As for whether it makes it over here or not depends on how the localization resources are over at Exceed.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah. I'd imagine that this would be easier for them to localize since, they're basically going to be working on modern hardware and they're going to have access to the Japanese developers straight off the bat. They're not having to dig through old code.
Yeah. That's true. And ease is not usually... You don't have the tomes of dialogue that you have with The Legend of Heroes.
Yeah.
And so that should grease the wheels considerably.
Yeah. I remember that photo that you sent me of the stack of Wheel of Time books compared to Trails in the Sky.
Yeah, and that didn't even include like incidental dialogue, things like that. That was main quest dialogue and side quest dialogue.
Yeah.
So that wasn't including people you run into in towns that say different things as you progress through the storyline.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm going to be digging into that and probably going to be enjoying the hell out of it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you think.
Yeah.
So, it seems like that's going to be it for 2014. We hope you've enjoyed the show thus far, and we look forward to bringing more to you next year.
Yep. With that, I'm Filippo D'Onofrio.
I'm Patrick Mifflin.
And we'll see you in 2015.